Hello and welcome to the Sabbath Cafe podcast. My name's Michelle. Thank you for tuning in today. Well, this week, what I wanted to talk about is the importance of having personal downtime. And later on the podcast, I'll include some tips and my experiences of having your own personal retreat. This is actually a topic that's really close to my heart. I think mainly because I didn't used to understand the importance of taking a break and stepping away from your normal routine and just having a personal time. And because of that, I actually burned out and it had physical effects on my body and I went into depression for a little bit. And so ever since then, I realized that I'm not a Superman or a superwoman. And for my own well-being and for the well-being of everyone around me, it's actually a necessity for me to schedule in time away from my normal routine, away from my normal responsibilities, and just catch up and give myself a break. This idea of unplugging from our everyday routine actually sounds very counterintuitive at first. I used to feel like I'm too busy to stop or take a break. But if I don't stop and take care of my own needs, my anxiety and negativity actually overflowed into all the things I'm doing. And the people, my family that are around me, they can feel my stress. And that actually brought them more stress. And those are the good days. If I didn't take care of them, there have been times where my disappointments and my own tiredness have caused me to really say some things that are very hurtful because I was tired and because I didn't stop to take care of my own needs. And what that reminded me is that, when you go on the airlines and the cabin stewardess, when they give you the safety introductions, they'll tell you, in case of emergency, this is what you do. And they will always tell you to take care of yourself first. Put on your own oxygen mask before you put it on your dependents. To put on your own life vest before you put it on others. And I never really understood that until I had gone through my own traumatic issues. And then I realized it's actually a very good analogy because unless I take care of my own well-being emotionally and physically, I can't really take care of others well. And in my life, it's actually the same too. When I can have that time to process through my frustrations and get rest, whether it's physical rest or emotional rest, then I can have more wisdom. I can make better decisions in the long run. And I realize I'm a better person for everyone that I love and are close to me when I learn to take a break and take care of my own needs first. And one of the simplest ways and most effective ways I've realized is just to schedule some downtime for myself. And having downtime simply means to take a break from your normal routine and be present to what you're feeling right now. It's stepping away from our responsibilities and expectations that we carry in our day-to-day routines, whether that's from your work or your family or even yourself, which plays a very big part in this. In the simplest way, having downtime is to take a break from our normal routines and give our heart the permission to just be. And that sounds simple. And when you actually try it, it's very soothing and very encouraging, very healing. So if you're ready to have some downtime, I have some tips for you. Even though it's called downtime, how much time is not the most important thing. I found that if you're ready to have some time for self-care, you can schedule for an hour, 2 hours if you can handle it. For me, sometimes I'll do all day because I have the privilege of being at home. And if sometimes I can swing it, I'll give myself an 8-hour chunk where I don't have any commitments to other people, or I don't have any requirements for myself either. But like I said, having downtime is, in a sense, a mindset. Doesn't really matter how much time that you schedule, but what is important is that you have it by yourself, that you have it alone. And doesn't mean that you can't go to the library or at a park or in public spaces, but don't do it with a friend because that's not downtime anymore. Or a spouse. Don't do it with a spouse. Don't do it with friends. Just schedule time for you alone. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. But mainly, it's so that it gives ourselves a chance to be at our most honest place without worrying about other people. I personally am a people pleaser. So by nature, I I sort of go into a chameleon mode. And whatever other people are feeling or doing, I tend to cater to what they want. And it's not something where I try. It's just part of my persona. And so in order for me to truly feel like I can have the freedom to even feel what I'm feeling, I have to be in a space where I'm by myself. And for some of my friends that always like to be with other people, this is also very challenging too. But I find that we all have a tendency to fit in. And sometimes that in itself is one of the contributors to our stress. So the first tip I suppose I want to give is when you're ready to have downtime, schedule time and space just for yourself alone, where you can be without worrying about other people and without worrying about any expectations. And number 2, focus on your heart and resist feeling guilty. I think many of us have this tendency to feel guilty when we are not making some kind of productive work or working productive projects or seeing results. And I've realized that more than anything, it's rarely other people making me feel guilty. Most of the time, I'm the biggest culprit in that. I'm the one who cannot meet my own expectations, and I end up feeling guilty. And so oftentimes when I go in and have my downtime, retreat time, I have to purposely tell myself that I'm giving myself permission to just be. This is a time for me to just be. And at least for that set amount of time, I can resume to my guilt later. But at least for that amount of time that's set for myself, I give myself the permission to not feel guilty. Not feel guilty about the chores I haven't done yet. Not feel guilty about the argument or that harsh word I said the night before. Not feel guilty because I'm supposed to be doing something productive and something that's social media worthy. And to just stop. Stop all of this expectations I had of myself. And I have to remind myself that this time of investing in myself is important. And so that's number 2. Don't feel guilty. And number 3 is to not have any expectations of yourself of that time. I noticed that for me, especially when I've just gone through a really busy season, that the first session of my downtime is usually brainless entertainment. And part of me really do feel guilty, and part of me just feel like, what's going on? I have these expectations of myself that I should be journaling, I should be reading, spiritually uplifting books, or, I should be praying, or, and I realized I have to let go of all of those, because that's what I realized I needed. In the first part, I'll just end up doing some mindless streaming. I'll just stream some shows and binge watch for a bit. But what I realized is after I binge watch for a short amount of time, or even a long amount of time, whatever amount of time, again, no expectations. But what I've noticed in my case is when I've done that, then somehow my brain has had enough time to process certain things on its own, and I in a sense have stepped away from my life long enough to have different perspective. And usually after that session, time that come after that is a time of creative productivity. And I don't know why that is, but I've just noticed that that's what I need to shut off the expectations and to snap myself out of that a very rigid mindset where I was in an assembly line and just constantly producing and performing and meeting everybody else's needs, and to be entertained, and I need a season for that. In the beginning, I felt kind of guilty about it because I felt like I'm not being productive. And then I realized that's just the way I recover. And when I accepted it, I saw the big picture is that that's not the only thing I had, but rather I have a time where my mind relaxes, and then when I'm relaxed enough, then my creative center can take over again. And now I have more things, I have more energy, I have more motivation to do some things that are more fun. If I had expectations of myself, that just end up putting more pressure, adding more pressure to a time where I am meant to rest, and I'm meant to just be. And so just remind myself, don't have any expectations of yourself at that time. And allow your heart to just be, and put yourself in a sense of a discovery mode. Be a good friend to yourself. I'm very hard on myself, but if I look at myself as a good friend, actually I have much more grace for it. So if you ever find yourself feeling guilty, or if you have expectations of yourself, you just can't snap out of that, well, then treat yourself like a good friend. What would you tell your good friend if they are just tired and burned out and they just needed to kind of shut up all the expectations? What would you tell them? I'm sure you would have lots of grace for them and say, there, go and do whatever you like to do, enjoy yourself, and just be. And that's what oftentimes I have to be my own best friend, be my own advocate, and remind myself that it is okay. Just be and enjoy this downtime, and no need to feel guilty, and no need to have any expectations. And last but not least, remember to have fun. This time is just for you. You don't need to cater to anyone else's needs. It's just for you. So take this precious time and ask yourself some questions. Be honest. What would you like to do? What would bring your heart joy? What are some things that you saw other people doing that you had in the back of your mind thinking, if I had time, I would really like to try that. And for me, this question and paying attention to what my heart had wanted to do had actually led to some breakthroughs. In my downtime, sometimes I would like to go and walk around stores that I enjoy. And once I was walking in a arts and crafts store, and this was after Christmas season, so there were a lot of things on sale, and I happened to pick up a set of paint by numbers. And I've always loved colors. I loved playing with colors, but I could not draw worth the life of me. So I thought, paint by colors, how perfect. They tell you what to do. You cannot make a mistake. You follow instructions, and following instructions is what I was great at. And if you follow instructions, you come out with this beautiful piece of work. And it was on sale. I could not resist a sale. So I got it and I took it home. So for a couple of sessions, whenever I had downtime, I would go to my paint by colors and I will just paint. In the beginning, I felt really silly, honestly. There's a part of me that felt like I was wasting my time, that I was not being productive. But I've decided, hey, that's what I enjoyed, and it is something I could afford during that downtime. That's the purpose of downtime, is to do something you enjoy without placing a value judgment on it. So for a season, I did paint by numbers, and one thing led to another. I picked up a drawing book. One thing led to another. I bumped into a retired art teacher, and one thing led to another. I entered my artwork into a local show, and it was accepted. And now, 4 years later, I am full-blown on this path to discovering making art, and I can't imagine my life without it. And that had opened up a whole new part of me that I never knew existed before. It had opened up a side of me that God had created all along, but I had never knew. And so you never know where your downtime might lead you. Follow your heart and give yourself permission to have fun. Explore, try different things, and enjoy that space with just you. We're actually coming up to the holiday season in the States. I know that Christmas season, holiday season, is usually a very busy time for all of us. But I'd like to invite you to be mindful and look out for those openings in your schedule where you can set apart some time for self-care and reserve those times for yourself. In the midst of this very busy season, give yourself the gift of time. Even if it's just a short session, you will find yourself much refreshed, and you will be able to enjoy the season even better. And that's all the time we have for today. I wish all of you a very happy holiday and a very Merry Christmas. See you in the new year. Thank you for listening. You have been listening to Sabbath Cafe Podcast. If you enjoyed this, please visit sabbathcafeblog.com for more information. Thank you.